Hey, I'm right back with another video. It's 11:02 a.m. It is Friday. I think it's Friday. Let me just double check here. My goodness, it is Friday. It's the 24th of April. And so it's a beautiful day outside. A lot of sunlight. I'll probably go back out a little bit later this afternoon. It's nice to get out in the sun. I know the last few days have been pretty hazy outside and even rained a little bit, I think, if I remember correctly. So, and last night, the temperature in the house was it was warm last night. And I kept thinking, I know it starts to get really warm here in town, like around mid-May. And then the summer comes and everybody's just like agonizing. And it really sucks too, because now that we have this coronavirus, I was disappointed because when I first got into this apartment, I realized there was a swimming pool here. And chances are I won't be able to go swimming this year because of the coronavirus. The coronavirus is ruining so much for people. So much for people. I haven't gone swimming in a very long time, but I do enjoy swimming. I'm not a good swimmer, but it's fun to do. And since I thought I had the opportunity to do that, it made me a little happy. And then everybody. I think this whole thing is just a big drag, and for some people, you wonder how long could something like this go on. you know how long could something like this go on? Social media has pretty much put a lot of distancing with people anyway. I know that most people communicate through text messaging, and then people have Facebook, and it has been going on for quite a long time. I know people still have get-togethers, but they're rare. Right now, they're pretty much non-existent, but I do think that I don't know, it just seems so weird, like, for young people who want to start a family, if that's what they desire to do. It's like, it's kind of hard to meet somebody now. It's kind of hard to meet people now. And why would you want to bring a kid into this world? I just really don't get it. But anyway, enough of those thoughts. I was thinking about, rebellion, and how, I yesterday kind of went into how people define rebellious as it's very loosely defined by some people, and typically a person is labeled a rebel if they don't agree with whoever, and like I said, that's not necessarily rebelling is like when you go against a form of authority that is recognized as a form of authority. Like, for example, obviously my ex-siblings have no legal right to interject their religious views or their personal life views or whatever standards on me. That's not authority. I've never recognized them as authority. I've always recognized them as, at that time, family members or siblings, but never authority. I know when you're little, sometimes, in families, there are pecking orders. Like, for example, the oldest kid kind of watches out for the other one when you're in that family structure. But I don't recognize anyone has ever, stated to me that they were any form of authority in my life. And that includes, like, my ex-brother-in-law as well. But I'm not trying to dredge all that up. But basically, I'm just kind of thinking about, I do believe in respecting, the laws of the land. And I think when I think of true rebellious people who don't respect other people's property, their space. Sometimes you see graffiti around town. That to me is like a form of rebellion, because obviously they are debasing public property. It doesn't belong to them, and I've seen some pretty good artwork too. Some of the artwork is pretty impressive. People have a lot of skill, but still, it's still on public property. This is just an example of what's rebellious. What's rebellious is, going against some form of instruction. Like, for example, if there's certain laws that, like, you're not supposed to violate, I don't know, like, for example, noise regulations, okay? Like, some communities, is like, at certain times at night, it's just understood in the neighborhood that you don't play music loud. Like, for example, I would say it's normal to play music loud for some people, like on the weekends or whatever, okay? But come 2 o'clock in the morning, it's inconsiderate, it's inconveniencing other people, and you're not taking consideration of how other people are living. That to me is rebellious. um, Now I know some people, like, it's against their religion, like for example Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in saluting the flag, okay? But they will stand up for it. Like they will, during the pledge, they will stand up for it. Even though they may not pledge it, they're at least, showing respect by standing up, okay? But so that's not necessarily a form of rebellion. But like, for example, if you showed utter disregard, whether you were observing the Pledge of Allegiance or not, and you started, like, let's just say, for example, you don't believe in saluting the flag, okay? Some people don't, okay? Even though, it's customary, some people believe that it conflicts with their religious views, okay? They look at it as a form of worshiping. Okay, that's just how some people are, okay? But even though they might stand for it, they stand up. They may not put their hand over their heart and say the pledge, but they are standing up and at least showing respect, what would be disrespectful is if you are, while this is going on, you are sitting down and you are, adjusting your glasses, blowing your nose, or something like that. That is a form of disrespect. It's rebellious, okay? It's like flipping the bird, okay? It's like, it's not polite. It's obviously something that goes against rules or some sort of authority, basically. um, Tampering with other people's things, that's a form of rebellion. But I can't say that any of that identifies with me. Now, of course, when I was little, I did little devilish things, you know what I mean? And when I was younger, in my 20s and stuff, yeah, I did stuff like that, I think everybody breaks laws, when they're a kid in some way, even if it's just like, for example, you're walking home from school and somebody's has a fruit tree, and it's not your fruit tree, and it doesn't matter if it's a fruit tree and it's sitting there, in somebody's front yard, or it's dangling over the fence. It's not yours, so don't touch it, right? Because it's still stealing, right? But when I was a kid, I used to take people's fruit, right? Because it was, well, it looked good. It looked good, right? And it was different than getting stuff at the grocery store or whatever. So it's like, you do those sort of things when you're younger, right? That's rebellious, because obviously your parents told you not to do stuff like that, but you do it anyway. Okay, every kid rebels against their parents to a certain extent, but there's some kids who rebel to the point of where it's just they are constantly going in and out of things like juvenile hall. They have to get counseling because they might have temper tantrums that are extreme. They may be violent. They may deface people's property. Stuff like that. Extreme, constant, ongoing, devilish things. It's more than just devilish. It's just downright, disrespectful, whatever. These things that go on consistently. Then that's a rebel. Okay, but I'm not a rebel. I was thinking, how when women, like such as myself, to and how things like sexual harassment escalates, is like, they think in some ways, I don't know, like they think that you're a woman, you're by yourself, and they think that that's okay to make comments about it and kind of like poke fun of you or whatever, and they think that everything that you do is relating to you trying to get into a relationship, or they'll assume that you want a relationship, or they'll get groups together, to either find you a relationship or force you to stay in a relationship or whatever. And this is not something that you want to bring into the workplace. And some people look at women who are single and they look at them as a form of rebellion, because most women, a lot of women, my age, are married or whatever. And it's not rebellion. Some people have scapegoating families. Some people come from, abusive relationships, or there's all kinds of reasons why women are single. But the thing is that they need their jobs. They need to work. And so you get people who are kind of playing and clowning around, thinking that that their game is funny, but it's not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny at all to play with somebody's life like that. And so they'll try to find, like, reasons to continually harass you, or make jokes, or make light of the situation. First of all, like I said, just because a person dresses nice, which I personally don't think my clothes are anything spectacular, but or if somebody takes care of themselves, or they groom themselves, I personally think that this is the way you're supposed to be. Okay, why do I say that? Because every single, what do you call it? Any person who gives advice, whether that be a psychologist, some sort of writer, one of those things that you see in magazines or whatever, everyone knows that this is what people are supposed to strive for. Now, not everybody likes like gobs and clothes. I know some women who have like tons and tons and tons of shoes. That has nothing to do with rebellion. It's just something that you like. I enjoy, matching clothes. I do like that. I like it. It has nothing to do with rebellion, and it has nothing to do with trying to get male attention. I think there's a difference between deliberately trying to get male attention and somebody who just likes clothes. Like I really do like clothes. I do. I like them, and I like color. I like the change of season. I like those sort of things. And there's a difference. Like I was thinking, to try to make a comparable contrast of what is considered sexually stimulating, a woman who's sexually stimulating, and a woman who is just presented well. Like when I think of Mary Poppins, I think of a woman who is very prim, very proper. She presents herself well. She's made up well. She's like, the epitome of etiquette and style and grace, right? Now, of course, she's old school, style and grace, but still, she's somebody who personifies that. When we think of Mary Poppins, we don't think about anything sexy. We think of someone who is just really well groomed and just prim and proper. And that's pretty much the way I look at myself. Now, not like I'm saying I'm so prim and proper, but I'm just saying is, if there was a category to be placed in, I would put myself in that category. Not on an everyday basis, but like, when it comes to grooming overall, like depending on where I'm going, like whether that be work or whatever, I'm going to be dressed appropriately for that job. Okay. Just like Mary Poppins was appropriately dressed for her job. She was a very clean, tidy woman who presented herself well. Okay. That's just an example. Now, then we have certain people who personify what I call like sexual, like allure, like just that comes off of my head to try to bring, I guess, things to the modern age. I use Beyonce a lot, okay, as an example. Obviously, she's wearing things that are like, low cut, revealing things. She shows like her stomach. She shows her sides of her stomach. She shows her her legs. And some people it's okay to wear a dress, but I'm talking about like dresses that are showing like slits all the way up to a certain area. This to me is like a deliberate form of expressing one's sexuality. And there's a difference there. There's a huge difference between the two. And so obviously I know the difference between that, and I don't see myself as dressing in any provocative way. And so I think that some people think, that because, you're single, then this is what it equates to. No, it doesn't. Because if I was looking for somebody, I would be actively looking for someone. Mind you, there are no bars, and I know that you don't find Mr. Right in bars or something, but there's always the date websites. There's always opportunities if people want to go look for those sort of things. So, and then when you deal with these people, this is where part of the sexual harassment. They continually try to think that everything that you do is, and it's not. And making jokes of it in like in a work environment always leads to sexual harassment. You're not really. I don't care if I looked like Beyonce. Okay, now I think Beyonce is a very beautiful woman. Okay, now if I looked like Beyonce, okay, and I still was dressed presentable, like for example I was wearing work attire, and you come in for a job interview or whatever, but you look like Beyonce, right? Your face looks like Beyonce, everything looks like Beyonce, and I think she's a very striking woman, okay? she walks into the door for a job interview, and it doesn't matter how this woman's presented or whatever, she's there for a job. You know what I mean? She's there to get a job. She needs a job. You know what I mean? And it's not about poking fun of this person. Nobody finds it flattering. It's not flattering. It's actually disturbing, because it's like you're supposed to be groomed. You're supposed to. I know people want to sit here and like, oh, poke fun of it, but everybody will tell you there is not one person who would ever advise you to look like a slob. They're just not. Okay, it's not. Okay, and so I'm tired of people trying to make me feel ashamed of that. And like I said, there's people who have far more expensive clothes than I do, far more. So I resent that. Also, when it comes to grooming or something, I do believe that that's important. And one of the main reasons is because it's good for your overall well-being. Okay. Now there's some people, like I've been looking online, and I even let myself do this for a little bit, and it's like, I really hate doing it. But like, I'm not, going out a lot now, and so, during this time of year it's starting to get a little bit warmer, so you're wearing shirts without sleeves or whatever. So, for the last few weeks I skipped shaving, right? So, but then as I'm sitting here like, scratching my head or reaching for something, I'm looking into my arm, and I'm like, I can't stand this. And so some people think, well, I'm not leaving the house. What difference does it make? Some people, they're fine with that, okay? But for me, after a while, I was like, I can't stand this anymore. I feel, it makes me feel like, I don't like the way it makes me feel, It's about your personal betterment. And I don't know why society likes to shame people who care about those things. But the only reason why I think that they do it is because it's a form of bullying. Because obviously, everyone will tell you that this is what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? And I know that not all women care about, shoes or handbags. And believe me, I don't have very many handbags or shoes or anything like that. But there's some women who just love those sort of things. And then there's some women who, they don't care about those sort of things. They just don't. They never have. But I always did. I always liked this sort of stuff. And I don't think that should change, because it's a part of life. It's those things that you enjoy in life. And it doesn't mean that you're immature. There's women who are in their 70s, that are rocking the styles, like really seriously. And some of these things are kind of outrageous for me, myself. But I admire it. I think it's good. I think women should be in touch with who they are. And that's not rebellious. It's not rebellious. It's about trying to enjoy life. And life is shitty on this earth. It is fucking shitty. Anything outside of ourselves, and you see the attitude of the world, you see how, people are, so you have to do things that are going to make yourself happy. And it's not about, like I said, I don't encounter anybody. I don't talk to anybody, but, I felt like it was getting to the point where I need to put a razor under my arm, right? Because it made me feel better. I kept feeling like I was like an animal or something. I couldn't take it anymore, And it's not about anything else. It's about me. And this is what it should be about. It should be about you. And most of the time it is about you. And when you get these people who want to, hackle you, and they want to say that you're doing it for whatever reason, it's not about that. I grew up with a mother who didn't take care of herself, okay? And really, I didn't like the fact that she didn't. You know what I mean? And I deep down inside, I know that she didn't like the fact that she didn't either, because she seemed very, very unhappy. Very unhappy. And, and I know that wasn't good for her. And I didn't want to be like that, And so, and I don't think any woman should. If they feel like they want to improve their life, then they should. And I know I know people like to bully. I know that they do. Or people try to talk you out of your goals all the time. They do this kind of stuff all the time. and it's wrong. It's wrong. Okay, and it is bullying, and that's exactly what it is. Like if a woman tries to improve herself, she's tired. Let's just say, for example, she has a good friend, and this woman's tired of doing the same thing every day. She needs a change in her life. She needs a change in her life. So then she goes to the mall one day, and then somebody says, you know what, maybe you could try a new haircut or something. So she tries a new haircut. Okay, they cut it up for her, they dye it for her, and then someone else, maybe it was one of those nice fine department stores, which we don't have anymore. Somebody else says, why don't we pick out an outfit? So he puts on a new outfit. So she's like, what, this is good for me. I feel good. I feel like a better person. I feel good about myself. And then she gets up with her friend, and her friend has an issue with it. And why does her friend have an issue with it? Sometimes her friend feels like, well, why are you changing? Why? Because this woman needs to evolve to something better than what she was doing. She needs to do something to make herself feel good. She's constantly living in a dark state, and she needs to move herself. It doesn't have anything to do with an opposite sex. Now, if she finds someone along the way, then that's good for her. But that's not her intention. The intention is to change her life. It feels good. It feels good. Like, I love slippers, right? Like I like slippers a lot. Okay. And I've made a bunch of slippers, and I've bought some in the past. Okay, but I like wearing them, and it feels good to slip into a brand new pair of slippers. That's not for anyone to see, because no one really sees my slippers, right? But it's a good feeling, and it's not materialistic, because I don't spend a lot of money on my shit. Okay, but when people are bullying you, they'll find any reason to pick you apart, any reason. And and why this escalates to sexual harassment is because, number one, I don't care, like I said, if Beyonce walked through the door for a job interview. It doesn't matter what she looks like or whatever. To bring attention to a person in that sort of manner is, what's the word for it? It's sexual harassment. Because nobody likes bringing that sort of attention. No one likes that sort of attention. It's not about you. And I will tell you, when my job interview clothes are always very cut and dry. They're usually a pair of black pants, I have like 3 different black jackets, but I usually wear like the one that kind of comes to my, the very top of my waist. That's one that's very lightweight. It doesn't get it's not lined, so it doesn't get hot too much. So during this time of the year, it's lightweight. So if the sun's beating down, I don't get, but then I have one for fall and winter, and they're a little bit heavier, and then I wear like a standard shirt or something. So I'm always clothed well. So there's really no, what do you call it? It's the standard office attire. Like if you were to walk into JCPenney, Macy, or whatever, and you go into like the casual section, this is the same type shit you're gonna see. That's for work, right? So, so yeah, I got tired of that. It's bullying. It's bullying. Or to, scrutinize me and, look at my hair issue. We've already talked about my hair issue. Okay. And I think it's, you don't bring attention to people's physical appearance. They don't want it. Okay. Some people just feel like, for example, some people feel more comfortable wearing a dress. Okay. I'll wear them every once in a while, but I don't particularly like dresses as much as I prefer pants. Right. Mainly because I think pants are far more comfortable. Right. But some people like wearing dresses. Okay. And if people do like wearing dresses, they're not wearing dresses because they're trying to get male attention. Number one, if you have a job, it is important to be presentable at work and to be well groomed. All right. If she chooses a dress, it has nothing to do with that. She might like that dress. It gives her better movement. She likes the color of it. It's nice and stuff, but it's not about that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm just upset because, I deal with people who don't really know me. And like my ex-family or whatever. They don't really know what motivates me to do the things that I do, and they want to make up stories about it. I just believe in this sort of lifestyle. That's it. I believe, I think people should embellish their life with as much things that makes them happy. Like, growing up, I grew up in a house that didn't have a lot of pictures, not a lot of color on the walls, and I always knew that I liked color. So when I got older, I made sure that I had color. I want as much color as I possibly can. I would prefer my walls be almost completely covered with color. That's just me. I grew up with a mom who used to wear dusters and stuff like that around the house. And I kept thinking, that's not what I want for myself. You know what I mean? I want something different. And I know that my mom was one of those people who complained about other women who were, taking care of their lives. And I think she did this because she felt, like my dad said, she had an inferiority complex, and it's unfortunate. But I understand that, I just think that, not just women. I mean, if men feel like they prefer like the GQ look, they should be able to look more GQ if they want to, if that's what they like. It's a matter of personal preference. You know what I mean? But like, for example, today, I'm just wearing jeans and a regular shirt. And I don't, like I said, there's no way in the world some people can say, you're all dressed up. But people have said things like this to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm wearing a pair of slacks. How is that dressed up? But it's always, so I think the people who are harassing me, haggling me, particularly like my ex-brother-in-law, he's kind of a slob anyway. So like when I think about him pointing the finger at me saying that I'm overdressed, I guess compared to his sloppy ass, I am. But I think, when you go to a job interview, your standard office attire is the best thing to wear, because you don't know until you start looking at what other people are wearing. And if like everyone else is more casual, like for example, some people wear sweats. I don't wear sweats. To me, sweats are something that you walk in. Okay, but I know there's a lot of people, they love sweats. They like their sweats, they like their stretch pants, they like their sweatshirts, they like their t-shirts. Some people really like that kind of stuff. And I think they are okay, but I use them for certain things. Like I use them for walking, or, lounging in my house. Like I use them as kind of pajama pants or whatever. So if I see that people are dressed down, then usually what I wear is just jeans, or which is a standard thing, because eventually they end up wearing jeans too sometime throughout the week or whatever. So I mean, I know how to dress. I just get tired of the constant spying and talk and chatter that goes on around me, and it makes me uncomfortable, because it always escalates into harassment, always. And like I said, it's wrong. You know what I mean? It's like, and then you try to force me to act contrary to how I'm supposed to live. And I see other women who are able to live how they want to live. And yet I'm being bullied and trying to be forced to wear like shit that I don't want to wear, or live my life and that's wrong. You know what I mean? It's bullying. It's wrong. And I can't, and it's not a form of rebellion, because I was always told that I could do that. I remember when I was 13 years old, my mother gave me, she gave me some money and told me I can go get lipstick. Okay. And so I went out to there and I got lipstick. And I remember she said, when you're 16, you can wear as much makeup as you want to. And I remember her and I sitting down at the table one day, and she said, I said, well, what do you like? And my mom didn't know much about makeup, because my mother didn't wear makeup. She only wore lipstick, okay, which I thought was kind of strange. But anyway, she goes, she showed me this paper, this magazine. And she goes, how about with those little rings under your eye or whatever? And I think my mom meant eyeliner is what she meant. And she goes, that's not bad. That's not bad. And I thought, okay, my mom doesn't know much about stuff. But my mother said that we could. She never said that we weren't able to do that. My mother didn't like that for herself, but she that was the rule. Like at 13 you can wear lipstick, at 16 you can wear whatever you wanted. Now my mom, like I said, she wasn't a makeup person. My mother didn't really think the idea of dyeing your hair was something that she particularly liked, but by the time I was 17 I was able to do that. So when I hear all these forms of so-called authority telling me how I'm supposed to live my life, you know, that's wrong. Especially when I go to job interviews, and some of these women who are interviewing me, their hair is dyed, or they're either bleached or whatever, but they're saying I can't, you know, they're giving me haggles about my hair. I've been in job interviews where women are wearing fake eyelashes, and I'm not bashing it, but you know, that's what they're doing. And then somehow they're sitting here, you know, asking me, you know, the last woman I encountered at this particular job interview, she was, we were talking about my hair, and she was saying, you know, any employer who would hassle you about your hair, you wear your hair however you want, anyone who would do that. She goes, but so, and then she said, you know, I know that because this is their brainwashing. They're trying to like tell me not to wear makeup at work, right? Now here's the thing. Now when I went to that job interview, I wasn't wearing that. I didn't have any on, right? And she was basically talking about, but I noticed that the receptionist had lipstick on. I know the lady who was interviewing me, she had what do you call it, eyeliner on. But then she's telling me that, you know, and it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Okay. So it's like, you know, what bothers me is that they're trying to deny me my rights when I know that I other women in this community do the same thing that any other woman does. Okay, not all women, but they do that. And then yet everyone else has rights, but I don't. Okay, and it's not rebellion. It is not rebellious if a woman chooses to wear makeup. It is not rebellious if a woman chooses to change her hairstyle. It has nothing to do with that. It's her choice. It is her choice. And I've just about had enough of people defining things based off of what they think is right, and not allowing me to live my life the way that I want to live my life, you know. And so at that point, this is an obvious sign of human trafficking, because you'll notice that when you're dealing with human trafficking, other people have rights that you're not allowed to, you know. And it's basically a form of dehumanizing a person in public forum, and it's wrong, you know, and it is a form of bullying. Okay, so anyway, I'm not a rebel. I'm somebody who basically just kind of lives life, tries to enjoy life as much as they can. This is a miserable, shitty world that we live in, and I just try to make the best out of it. You know what I mean? And I suggest people do the same. I'm going to wrap up this video, and I'll be back with another video some other time later. Take care. Bye-bye.